Sounds like Frosty brought some winter magic and laughs to the day, and Benji's carefree vibe is always a mood. Nothing beats that zero fluffs given energy. Hope it was a memorable time. This is the story of Frosty's winter adventure. In a quiet little town blanketed with snow, Frosty the Snowman stood proudly in the center of the park. Built by the neighborhood kids, he had a carrot nose, button eyes, and a scarf borrowed from Mrs. Dwyer next door. But Frosty was no ordinary snowman. He had a special hat, one that glowed faintly under the moonlight. One chilly evening, as the wind whispered through the pines, Frosty blinked his button eyes and stretched his twig arms. The magic of the hat had brought him to life, and he felt a bubbling sense of adventure. "Time to explore," he said to himself, his voice a mix of crackling ice and laughter. Frosty waddled through the park, his snowball feet crunching on the frozen ground. He stopped by a group of sparrows huddled together on a low branch. "Cold night, isn't it?" he said. The sparrows chirped nervously, surprised to see a talking snowman. "Yes, but we'll manage," one brave sparrow replied. Frosty tilted his head. "Follow me, little ones. I know a cozy spot." He led them to a small shed near the park, where a crack in the wood let out just enough warmth from an old heater inside. The sparrows chirped their thanks and fluttered in, their tiny hearts filled with gratitude. Feeling pleased, Frosty continued on his way. He passed a frozen pond where children had left their skates. Frosty picked up a pair and, after a few wobbly attempts, glided gracefully across the ice. The stars twinkled above, mirroring his joy as he spun and danced. Suddenly, a faint whimper caught his attention. Frosty stopped skating and listened carefully. Following the sound, he found a little dog tangled in a bush near the edge of the park. The dog's fur was covered in frost, and it shivered as it whimpered. "Oh, you poor thing," Frosty said gently. He carefully untangled the dog with his twig hands and wrapped his scarf around it. "Let's get you somewhere warm." Frosty carried the dog to the nearest house, knocking softly on the door. A young boy opened it, his eyes widening in amazement. "A snowman?" he whispered. "Yes, and this little guy needs your help," Frosty said, handing over the dog. The boy and his family brought the dog inside, warming it by the fire and offering it food. Frosty watched through the frosted window, his heart, if he had one, filled with joy. As dawn began to break, Frosty felt the first rays of sunlight on his snowy body. He knew his time was running out. Waddling back to the park, he stood in his original spot, his hat glowing faintly. By the time the children arrived that morning, Frosty was once again just a snowman, his adventures hidden in the crisp wind.